We'll start and finish this small chapter called as X-rays. As you can see, I've written advanced over here. Recording is on. Thank you. I've written advanced over here. That's because this chapter is only in your advanced syllabus. So it's not in your main syllabus, and it's not in your not even in your bits. You'll have to check that, but I think it's not even in the bit syllabus. I think it's only in the advanced syllabus. Small chapter, you just need what I'll be mentioning over here, and after that you just have to just do your HCV once. That's it, more than enough. Super simple stuff. After X-rays, we have another chapter called as radioactivity, right? Yeah, वो बाकी. Now रेडियो का एक उसमें से एक पार्ट थोड़ा सा सिमिलर होगा. Yes, all these chapters are there for advanced. Every single chapter done over here that I'll be taking over here is there in the advanced syllabus. The only thing that was not in the advanced syllabus was the Davison-Germer experiment. That was not in the advanced syllabus. And everything is in mains. The only thing not in the main syllabus is X-rays. Okay? Radioactivity बिल्कुल हमारे एडवांस सिलेबस में और मेंस के सिलेबस दोनों में है. इनफैक्ट रेडियो एक्टिविटी वाला पार्ट, the way the number of nuclei changes with time in a radioactive reaction, that part, DK wala part, is there in chemistry as well. In physical chemistry, there is a chapter called as radioactivity. So that specific part is you'll be having in chemistry as well, and that's similar to your CR circuit DK. It's similar to a first order reaction. So that part is in fact quite simple. Yeah, it's similar to first order reaction from kinetics, chemical kinetics. Cool. चलो अब let's get started. ये आज खत्म करने का टारगेट रखेंगे. सिंपल आइडिया है, बहुत ही सिंपल है. क्वेश्चंस के पर्सपेक्टिव से तो बहुत ही सिंपल है. Theoretically, just make sure you get it. So X-rays were discovered by this scientist W.C. Röntgen or something like that. Okay? Just Röntgen, whatever, in 1895. Okay? So he was the one who discovered X-rays. He found that a photographic film, okay, which in a way shows when it gets exposed to light, there is a fluorescence effect in it. But a photographic film which was wrapped in light tight black paper. Okay, a photographic film wrapped in light tight black paper. मतलब इसमें कोई भी visible light जा नहीं सकता है. It's going to absorb all the radiations falling on it, and by all we can say it's going to absorb all the radiations man was aware of. So it's definitely going to absorb visible radiations falling on it. Maybe it was even absorbing UV radiations, who knows. But this got exposed when placed near a cathode ray tube. Okay, so yes, Ayush, yes. I think apparently the unit of radiation exposure is named after this guy. Yeah, must be for some other work though. So this photographic film wrapped in light tight black paper got exposed when placed near a cathode ray tube. Matlab it showed signs of being exposed to radiation, which was surprising because it was wrapped in light tight black paper. So the only conclusion that people could come up with, or he could come up with, was that there were some invisible radiations, some new kind of radiations, invisible radiations. Radiation again just means light, but it was some new frequencies of light which were able to penetrate the black paper and affect the photographic plate, and it seemed to be coming from this cathode ray tube. Okay, which is basically just electrons emitted using thermionic emission. एक फिलामेंट को हीट करेंगे, इलेक्ट्रॉन्स निकलेगा, इलेक्ट्रॉन्स एक्सेलरेट हो जाएगा, and it's going to strike some kind of screen. तो somehow from around that device, X-rays were being, I mean, some weird radiations were being produced. We'll see how they're produced. And these radiations were able to penetrate this black paper and affect the photographic plate. And why this fancy name X-rays? So as he was unable to determine its nature and properties, it was difficult to study it at the time. He just called it as X-rays because in maths, whenever you have something which is an unknown, you normally, most common alphabet you give it is X. This rays were unknown in a way, so he gave it the name X-rays, and that name has stuck all this while. But so this is a little bit of background story as to how X-rays were discovered. Um, I'm sure most of you know where X-rays lie in the spectrum of light, right? UV rays से भी ज़्यादा energetic rays are called as X-rays, and उससे भी ज़्यादा energetic rays are called as gamma rays. But if you try to find a frequency range कि ये frequency range को ही gamma rays बोलते हैं या ये frequency range को ही X-rays बोलते हैं, then you won't really easily find that frequency range because that's not how they are actually defined. They are not defined based on a particular frequency range. ऐसा नहीं होता है कि एक frequency के बाद suddenly UV rays, X-rays बन जाता है. ऐसा नहीं होता है. Just like your rainbow does not have distinct colors, right? Even your visible spectrum, it's one color fading into the other. Red gradually becomes orange, yellow, so on and so forth, till violet, right? So it's a continuous spectrum. It gradually changes from one color, one shade to the other shade. यहाँ पे भी वैसे ही होता है. UV rays gradually enter the X-ray region and they gradually enter the gamma ray region. Then so they're not exactly, they just get more and more energetic. They just get more and more energetic as you go from UV to gamma. But the main way they are named, doesn't exactly have to do with their frequencies, but has to do with their source. So UV rays are produced by UV lamps. X-rays, we're going to see, are going to be produced by cathode ray tubes. Okay, we're going to in fact understand that in a bit more detail, how X-rays are produced. Gamma rays are produced by nuclear reactions. Okay, even in fact UV rays are also produced in the Lyman series, but gamma rays are produced in nuclear reactions, which we'll study in the next chapter. So due to nuclear activity, jo rays nikalte, they're typically of highest energy. Those coming from that source are called as gamma rays. Those coming from the source we are about to study are called X-rays. So they are, in a way, they're named based on the source. But typically you can say X-rays lie between ultraviolet rays and gamma rays. Okay, so this guy named David Coolidge, he was the first one who in 1913 produced, actually created this setup which will intentionally produce X-rays, right? So Röntgen just maybe discovered X-rays or realized that something mysterious is happening from the cathode ray tube. But I think over the years, people got a better understanding of what it could be and how they could intentionally create it. So this guy creates this device, creates the first X-ray tube. X-ray tube is basically something which will create X-rays. So what he does is, first, okay, let's just go over the points. So it's called as the Coolidge tube after the guy himself. A device used to produce X-rays is called an X-ray tube. Fair enough. The first X-ray tube, called as the Coolidge tube, was designed by William David Coolidge in 1913. I think 1913 is a big year, if I'm not wrong. Was this also when Bohr's atomic model came out? Yes, 1913. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, great. The first X-ray tube, called as Coolidge tube, was designed by William David Coolidge in 1913. electrons were emitted from a cathode filament. Okay, electrons were emitted from a cathode filament by thermionic emission. So this cathode filament is going to be heated up. Okay, so it's going to be maintained at a higher temperature, and by thermionic emission. So because of its high temperature, it's ultimately going to emit electrons. By the way, this is called as the cathode. Cathodes are negatively charged. So इसमें फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक इफेक्ट के वक्त भी थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन था. So if you remember, cathode is one where reduction takes place. Reduction takes place when electrons are gained, but this is all defined with respect to the battery. तो ये यहाँ से इलेक्ट्रॉन फेंक रहा है, ठीक है, तो उस हिसाब से इट्स लूजिंग इलेक्ट्रॉन्स और हम इसको एनोड नहीं बोलेंगे. The name it gets is defined based on how it's behaving with respect to our battery. तो बैटरी से ये इलेक्ट्रॉन्स ले रहा है. It's gaining electrons from the battery. Battery से electrons ले रहा है. So on that note, this becomes your cathode. It's gaining electrons from the battery. So anything with any plate which is negatively charged or attached to the negative terminal of the battery, in that sense, becomes your cathode, because it's going to take electrons from the battery. All right. Okay. So these electrons are going to be emitted. Hence the name cathode ray. Cathode ray, what is in that ray? Electrons. Okay? There are electrons which are emitted by thermionic emission. These electrons are then accelerated to the anode due to a potential difference of several kilovolts. Okay, so these are accelerated to a potential difference of several kilovolts. So these pick up a lot of speed, and then they are made to strike a particular target. Okay, now the target can be any metal. I think in his setup he used nickel. So these were then accelerated due to a potential difference of several kilovolts. Okay, so the anode was a nickel target. Okay, so the anode is going to, this target is going to be connected to the positive terminal of the battery, which is why the electrons are desperately coming towards this target. Okay, it's moving towards the positive charge. There is a large potential difference, and that potential difference is accelerating these electrons. It's increasing its kinetic energy by Q delta V. In other words, by E into V, E into potential difference. Now, as the electron enters the target with large velocities, it makes collisions with the atoms of the target. Okay, so as it enters the target, it makes collisions with the atoms of the target, and it loses kinetic energy. Simple. Okay, टकरा के अंत में रुक जाएगा. During this process, some of this energy results in the emission of highly energetic photons called as X-rays. It's highly energetic because the electron is coming at a very large velocity. And the remaining energy may be imparted to the colliding atoms, which heats up the target. Okay, the sum of this energy goes in emitting photons. Remaining energy goes in is imparted to the atoms it collides with. Okay, and as the colliding atoms ka kinetic energy बढ़ता है, that is basically saying कि उस atom का, उस material का temperature बढ़ रहा है. Right? Temperature is proportional to the kinetic energy of the constituent atoms. So the atoms ka kinetic energy is increasing, the temperature is increasing. So this target is going to get heated up during this process. Hence, water is passed to the target as a coolant. This is again just for your information, just explaining the setup in great detail. But basically, क्या हो रहा है? The main point is electron hits the target and it produces X-rays. पूरा इलेक्ट्रॉन का एनर्जी एक्सरे में जाता नहीं है, वो एक्सरे वाले फोटोन में जाता नहीं है. कुछ एनर्जी फोटोन में जाता है, कुछ एनर्जी टारगेट को मिलता है. I'll repeat it once more. Okay, so anode is a metallic target. It's attached to the positive terminal. The electron accelerates over a large potential difference and strikes it with large velocities. strikes in मतलब molecular level में तो it enters the target, ठीक है, and it collides with the atoms of the target near the surface, yeah, inside few layers inside, it starts colliding with the atoms of the target, as a result of which, ठीक है, as a result of which it loses energy, right? So it loses energy, loses kinetic energy. Now, some of this energy that it's losing may go in increasing the energy may be imparted to the atoms it is colliding with. So thoda energy will go and will be passed on to the atoms it's colliding with. Okay? And as those atoms the kinetic energy increases, basically temperature is increasing, so water will be continuously passed to cool the target, and the other part of the energy will go in producing photons. Okay? So it will go in producing highly energetic photons. The reason it's highly energetic is because the electron is coming at very large speeds. Okay. Now, the X-rays that are produced, I hope you got it. I hope you got point 4. So electron, as it loses energy, X-ray produce कर रहा है और बाकी थोड़ा energy is going in producing heat, जो पानी ultimately वो heat को dissipate करता है, ठीक है, absorb करके dissipate करता है. Now, point 5. The X-rays come out through a window made up of some material. It can be thin mica or mylar. Mylar is some kind of some polymer, which basically the material is not important. It comes out of a window which basically does not absorb X-rays. Okay, which basically does not absorb X-rays, whereas the rest of the vessel is normally made up of lead, as lead won't allow X-rays to pass through it. So, fun fact that I saw that apparently in the comics they kind of maintain that that fact by Superman, who is supposed to have X-ray vision and he can see through things. He's not able to see through lead, and he can't see through lead because lead absorbs X-ray, so he can't see what is beyond lead. तो यहाँ पे एक्चुअली क्या हो रहा है, यहाँ पे एक्सरे जो प्रोड्यूस होगा वो टेक्निकली हर डायरेक्शन में जाना चाहेगा, राइट, and you wouldn't want to be unnecessarily exposed to X-rays. So the entire setup is surrounded in a lead chamber, in an evacuated lead chamber, so that lead absorbs all the X-rays falling on it. But if you want X-rays to come out in a disciplined manner, so then there's just one small window somewhere in that lead chamber made up of material which will not absorb the X-rays, right? And so why isn't an open window? Because evacuated, you don't want vacuum inside this. You don't want air molecules and all colliding with the electrons. So for that reason, it has to be closed. So there is some window made up of some material which hardly absorbs X-rays, something like mica or something like that. So that will allow the X-rays to come out in a disciplined manner, like just from the place you wanted to come out. And yes, koi bol raha, sir, wouldn't a lot of X-rays be absorbed? Haan, I mean, ho jayega. There'll be a lot of wastage lead absorb kar raha hai, but theek hai, fair enough, right? There's no harm over there. What would be worse is getting unnecessarily exposed to the X-rays. You'd want control over something which is so energetic. So this is how it can come out in a controlled way. I didn't say lead only absorbs X-rays, और मैंने ऐसा मटेरियल्स पे पीएचडी नहीं किया क्या अब्सॉर्ब करेगा क्या नहीं करेगा, बट आई जस्ट सॉ ऑनलाइन थोड़ा रिसर्च करने पे कि lead does absorb, which explains why sometimes a lead chamber is used, and I just put a fun fact with it. That's also why Superman can't see through lead. Okay, got it. One of you is saying, doesn't mean if we apply a large potential difference across the photoelectric wala setup and replace the positive. If we apply a large potential difference across the photoelectric effect wala setup and replace the positive plate by nickel, we'll get X. It's quite possible, but yeah, it's quite possible. I mean, I understand what you're saying. तुम बोल रहे हो कि जो तो ये बोल रहा है कि फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक एमिशन के कारण भी can this be done? Why not? At the end of the day, this is just emission. Right? At the end of the day, this is just emission. Electron emit होता है. Thermionic emission में तो वो negligible, thermionic emission में तो वो negligible, क्या बोलते हैं, negligible kinetic energy से emit होता है. You are accelerating it. Photoelectric effect may only help it further, क्योंकि photoelectric effect में भी मैं तो एटलीस्ट वो 0 से ज्यादा काइनेटिक एनर्जी से एमिट हो सकता है, राइट? इन फोटोइलेक्ट्रिक इफेक्ट वो 0 से भी ज्यादा काइनेटिक एनर्जी से एमिट हो सकता है. तो डेफिनेटली वो एमिट हो गया, एक्सेलरेट होके इसको स्ट्राइक कर रहा है, इट कैन डेफिनेटली प्रोड्यूस एक्स-रेज. पीपल गो विद दिस बिकॉज़ दिस इज जस्ट इजियर टू अचीव, बट या बिल्कुल पॉसिबल है. दैट्स अ गुड डाउट. या सो again, fun fact or not very fun fact, but Ayush is saying bodies of Chernobyl victims were encased in lead-coated coffins. So lead absorbs substantial radiation. It possibly even absorbs gamma rays in that sense, I believe. Cool. So you got the idea? Any doubt on this page? Setup more or less समझ में आ गया? You didn't get why we use nickel? No, I said you can use anything. We're going to see that. You can use other metals as well. You can use other metals as well. ऐसा fix नहीं कि nickel use करना. उसने nickel use किया. वो Coolidge tube में उसने use कर लिया. अभी पता नहीं, बस he liking nickel उसने use किया. Okay, cool. Now these X-rays which come out are of two types. Okay, so let's understand that there is one type called as continuous. There's one type called as continuous X-rays. Okay, very simple stuff. The kinetic energy of the incoming electron, which was accelerated by a voltage V, is EV. You've done this so many times. Physical chemistry में किया होगा before learning electromagnetism. अब तो electromagnetism तुम्हें आता भी है, so you obviously know कि if an electron accelerates through a potential difference of voltage V, its kinetic energy increases by EV. If it starts from rest, it becomes EV. It becomes EV. एक सेकंड, एक डाउट पहले आंसर करता हूँ. So outside the room where X-ray happens, the bright light is basically photons coming at a large speed. Yeah, I haven't taken an X-ray in a long time, so sorry, can't comment on that. बहुत time हो गया X-ray लिया ही नहीं है, so I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not even able to picture how the device looks. But your whole point is there are photons coming at a large speed. Photons move at the speed of light. So वो coming at a large speed वाला point redundant है. You can't change the speed of a photon. Okay, the speed of any photon is in vacuum or in air is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters per second. Only what can be different is the energy of the photon, the frequency of the photon. So if they are X-rays, they are photons of really high frequency, which could be damaging. ठीक है, कुछ DNA वगैरह affect हो जाता है with too much exposure. So I mean that's why you'd want it in a controlled manner, and you'd want it in a controlled intensity as well. Okay. Apparently X-rays can't pass through bones. The way they can't pass through lead, they can't pass through bones. That's how but they can pass through the flesh. They can penetrate the flesh. So that's how इसलिए X-rays में कुछ चीजें अंदर दिखता है. We're going a little off topic. X-ray से बेबी का पिक्चर दिखता है क्या यार? ये सब again I have not seen that. इंडिया में है भी नहीं ये टेक्नोलॉजी for a reason, because people try to figure out the gender of the child, and for those reasons India में you can't, but I think वो sonogram वगैरह कुछ होता है. Anyways, let's not go off topic. Coming back to this, kinetic energy of the incoming electron increases by EV. अब starting में rest पे था, तो it's basically EV. ठीक है, तो you know how to work with it. Still, if you want to keep track of the signs, जितने से kinetic बढ़ता है उतने से potential कम होता है. Potential energy कितने से कम हो रहा है? तो minus delta U कितना है? That is minus Q delta V, because delta U is Q delta V. When a charge moves through a potential difference of delta V, change in potential energy is Q delta V. Decrease in potential energy minus delta U is minus Q delta V. अब Q itself is minus E, delta V itself is V. So minus E into V becomes EV. Okay, that's just for those who sometimes have a doubt of the sign and all. But I hope it's quite clear. If it's accelerating, uska kinetic energy EV se badhega. Okay, and yes, it could be more than EV, but K initial is 0. Thermionic emission mein, okay, the energy with which it is emitted is as good as 0. So EV is change in kinetic energy delta K, K final minus K initial, and K initial is 0. Okay, just when it gets emitted via thermionic emission, the initial kinetic energy is 0. If it was photoelectric emission, or if anything else was going on, if they tell you it's emitted with some kinetic energy, you may have to take that into account. Filal is just emitted with 0 kinetic energy, so K final is EV. Okay, the final kinetic energy with which the electron is going to come and bombard the target is EV. Now, the electron during a particular collision may lose all or none or part of this energy to a photon it emits. Okay, ya to in certain collisions it would lose all, in certain collisions it would lose none of the energy. Uska bhi chance hai. All with different probabilities, and certain collisions it may lose different fractions of this energy with which it comes to the photon it emits. Okay, we'll see what that probability distribution looks like. But moving to the next point, thus the energy of the emitted photon can be anything between 0 and EV. They don't all have the same probabilities of occurring, and we shall see these probabilities in a graph later. ये नहीं कि 0 आने का उतना ही चांस है, EV by 2 आने का उतना ही चांस है, नहीं. They have different probabilities. ठीक है, and that's a far more complex thing कि क्यों कौन ज्यादा होता है कौन कम होता है. But the point is, we can expect the energy of the emitted photons to be anything between 0 and EV. Anything between 0 and EV. Now, the X-rays emitted in this manner are called as continuous X-rays. They're called as continuous X-rays. When we see the next category, you'll understand why they are called as continuous X-rays. Okay. Okay. Now, the minimum, one of the reasons it's called as continuous X-rays is because here you do not have discrete energies of the photons. You have a continuous spread. 0 से EV के बीच में है ना, हर एनर्जी का फोटोन एमिट होगा, कुछ ज्यादा होगा कुछ कम होगा, but it's like a continuous spectrum. Hence these are called as continuous X-rays. You don't have discrete X-rays for obvious reasons. It doesn't make sense. Everything between 0 and EV is theoretically possible. Now the X-rays emitted in this manner are called continuous X-rays. Last point, very easy point, the minimum wavelength or the maximum energy that an emitted photon can have is called the cutoff wavelength. A very simple concept. Okay, the first formula in this chapter. The minimum wavelength of the X-rays is called as the cutoff wavelength. Minimum wavelength क्या है? Max. It corresponds to the max energy वाला photon. Photon ज्यादा से ज्यादा कितना energy से emit हो सकता है? This belongs to the photon emitted with energy EV. Those cases जब पूरा का पूरा जो भी इलेक्ट्रॉन का काइनेटिक एनर्जी था पूरा का पूरा गया फोटोन एमिट करने में, पूरा का पूरा एनर्जी लगभग पूरा गया फोटोन एमिट करने में, वो एनर्जी लेके जो फोटोन एमिट होता है उसका वेवलेंथ इज कॉल्ड एज the cut off wavelength, because उससे ज्यादा एनर्जी या उससे कम वेवलेंथ वाला फोटोन हमें दिखेगा नहीं, ठीक है. सो this does not depend on the target metal. This does not depend on the target metal, unlike the next type of X-rays which do depend on the metal. This does not depend on the target metal for obvious reasons. What is the max energy that photon can have? EV, right? Electron का kinetic energy पूरा photon में चला जाएगा. That's the max energy the photon can have. Photon का energy in terms of its wavelength can be written as hc by lambda. When you have max energy, you have minimum wavelength. That minimum wavelength is cutoff wavelength. So lambda minimum is the cutoff wavelength. So lambda minimum कितना है? Cutoff wavelength कितना है? hc by max energy या hc by ev. That's it, simple. So just depends on the accelerating voltage. Simply depends on the accelerating voltage. Okay. Any doubts so far? Can I explain the third point? Last part, yeah. तो मैं बस इतना बोल रहा हूँ कि जो फोटोन एमिट होता है उस मतलब उसको एनर्जी कहाँ से आ रहा है? इलेक्ट्रॉन से आ रहा है. हमने ये भी बोला कि ऐसा इलेक्ट्रॉन का पूरा एनर्जी फोटोन को नहीं जाएगा, उसका कोई फ्रैक्शन जा सकता है, पूरा भी जा सकता है, कुछ भी नहीं जा सकता है, एक फ्रैक्शन जा सकता है. सो फोटोन का एनर्जी कैन बी एनीथिंग बिटवीन 0 एंड ev. ओके, प्रोबेबिलिटी का खेल है बेस्ड ऑन certain types of collision are more probable than the other. Okay, we're not going to get into the exact details, but I'm just saying कि they don't all have the same probability. ऐसा नहीं कि जीरो एनर्जी वाला फोटोन का उतना ही प्रोबेबिलिटी है जितना ev/2 का है, जितना ev/3 का है. They have different probabilities which can be seen experimentally. So we'll see experimentally कैसा ग्राफ दिखता है. Okay, got it? We are not going to try and get into अच्छा ये ज्यादा probable क्यों था. We are not going to get into that. But they have as a naturally occurring phenomena, they do have different probabilities, and we'll see that in the graph. I hope you got the idea. एग्जैक्ट जीरो एग्जैक्ट ईवी होने का चांस कम होगा, बीच में वैल्यूज होने का चांस ज्यादा होगा. वील सी दैट ग्राफ. any doubt in this? Let me know. Let me just check one thing we had done in photoelectric effect. I think that was for de Broglie wavelength, but yeah, that was electron ka mass. No, sorry, never mind. Cutoff wavelength is hc by ev. All right. Now, the other type of X-rays are called as characteristic X-rays. This is really interesting. ठीक है, थोड़ा ध्यान से सुन लो. If you don't pay attention, you may miss out. Once you understand what I'm trying to say, then it's very simple. So क्या है? There are these extra X-rays called as characteristic X-rays that were also observed in the emission. Okay, and why are these X-rays being produced? So they're taking place due to a different phenomena. तो क्या होता है? It's quite interesting. Some of the accelerated electrons जो बाहर से आ रहे हैं, they knock out an electron from the inner shell of an atom with which it collides, creating a vacancy in that shell. बाहर से जो इलेक्ट्रॉन आ रहा है, ओके, जो एक्सेलरेट होके आ रहा है, वो अभी निकल, जो निकल टारगेट है, फॉर इंस्टेंस निकल टारगेट का एटम्स होगा. वो एटम्स में अराउंड द न्यूक्लियस you'll have electrons in different orbits. So some of these incoming electrons will knock out an electron from one of the orbits of this atom with which it collides. Okay, so these can take place. So they can knock out an electron from the K shell. They can knock out an electron from the L shell, M shell, N shell. Okay, KLMN, I'm sure you're familiar with that in chemistry. The shells from inside to outside are named as KLMNN. I think nothing new for you guys. The energy of the atom with a vacancy in these shells are respectively EK, EL, EM, EN. Okay. All right. So EK, EL, EM, EN. All right. So what is EK? It is the energy of that atom जिसका K shell में कितने इलेक्ट्रॉन होने चाहिए? 2 होने चाहिए ना. तो K shell से एक इलेक्ट्रॉन गायब है. K shell से एक इलेक्ट्रॉन गायब है. That energy level is called as EK. EL is the energy level when L shell से एक इलेक्ट्रॉन गायब, and so on and so forth. Okay. So as seen in Bohr's model, the closer an electron is to the nucleus, the lower the energy, right? You know that from electrostatics as well. When positive and negative charges are closer to each other, the energy is more negative. In other words, the energy is lower. So when is a particular configuration more stable? When opposite charges are closer. So if the electrons are closer to the nucleus, that configuration is more stable. More stable, less energetic. More stable, less energetic. Okay. एक और बार समझा देता हूँ. या ध्यान से सुनो. जो incoming electrons आ रहे हैं, okay, imagine this is your nickel target, right? So nickel target has some electrons. It's a very crude diagram, but nickel target has some electrons in its different orbits. Okay. Now जो incoming electron था, accelerating voltage के साथ जो electron आया, that is going to come, and along with it, it's going to knock out an electron from one of the shells of your target. Okay, so it could knock out an electron from the K shell as the first shell, or the second shell called as the L shell, or the third or the fourth, and so on, right? So it could knock out an electron from one of the shells of our target atom. As you guys know, in chemistry, these shells are called as K, L, M, and N. And let the energy of the atom with a vacancy in these shells be called as EK, EL, EM, EN. ये समझ लो. EK is not the energy of the electron in the K shell. EK is the energy of the atom जब K shell से इलेक्ट्रॉन गायब हो गया. K shell में जब वेकेंसी है, तब एटम का एनर्जी EK. एवरीवन विथ मी? L shell में जब वेकेंसी है, तब एनर्जी ऑफ द एटम इज EL. M shell में जब वेकेंसी है, तब एनर्जी ऑफ द एटम इज EM. N shell में जब वेकेंसी है, तब एनर्जी ऑफ द एटम इज EN. अच्छा, ये बताओ, इन चार में से which configuration would be most stable out of these four? EK, EL, EM, EN. Very nice, Prithvi. Yes. Which would be the most stable? Okay, great. सबका सही आ रहा है. So for that, just remember electrostatics, when positive and negative charges are closer, that time potential energy is more negative. More negative होना मतलब better, मतलब energy is lower, मतलब it's more stable. So when positive and negative charges come closer, the configuration is more and more stable. Okay. So if you have a vacancy in the K shell में अगर खड्डा है, मान लो K shell में मान लो एक गैप है, then what are the surrounding atoms going to do? Surrounding electrons going to do? One of them would want to come in and fill that vacancy, because electrons would want to move closer to the nucleus. because as opposite charges come closer, the configuration becomes more stable. Yes, we are only talking about one electron being knocked out. The probability of two or more being knocked out from the same atom is ridiculously small. So we are of course just talking about one electron being knocked out from a particular atom. Okay. Now, surrounding next orbit wale electrons would want to come in and fill this vacancy. So there is a tendency for electrons to from outside to come in and fill that vacancy. As an electron from a higher orbit fills iska vacancy, the vacancy, electron bahar se andar aa raha hai, but vacancy andar se bahar ja raha hai, right? Vacancy andar se bahar ja raha hai, right? So En, so what does that tell you? Vacancy K shell से L shell चला गया, मतलब EL is more stable than EK. A vacancy being in the L shell is more stable than the vacancy being in the K shell. अब इसके बगल में M shell में electrons रहेंगे. Again, what is the natural tendency going to be? Right? I think this is all your Aufbau principle. I mean, yeah, I've forgotten my chemistry, but electrons would want to occupy these quantum states of lower and lower energies. So you're going to have your electrons from the M shell, one electron from the M shell is going to move into the L shell. In that process, what is going to happen? Sab bit gaya. In that process, I hope you get the idea कि अब vacancy इस shell में चला गया, right? M shell में चला गया. So क्या हो रहा है? तो basically, what is the idea? Vacancies जितना बाहर जाएगा उतना स्टेबल होगा. इलेक्ट्रॉन्स जितना न्यूक्लियस के पास है, इलेक्ट्रॉन जितना न्यूक्लियस के पास है उतना स्टेबल है. वेकेंसी जितना बाहर की तरफ है उतना स्टेबल है. So which is why En is going to be more stable than Ek. En is going to be lower than Ek. Lower energy means more stable. I have written out whatever I was explaining. So let's read what I've written. Let's see if that is self-explanatory. So as seen in Bohr's model, the closer an electron is to the nucleus, the lower the energy. Okay, nothing new over there. Lower orbits में energy कम है. While Bohr's is not valid here, still this concept is logically true. Bohr's is not valid, it's just a multi-electron species. तो ऐसा नहीं कि Bohr गलत ही है. Just that the entirety of Bohr's is not valid. Okay, but a lot of arguments from Bohr's are still going to be valid, as we're going to see later in this chapter. Therefore, yes, Sarthak, in a way like that. Yes. Therefore, there is a tendency for electrons from a higher shell to fill the gap in a lower shell, creating a vacancy in the higher shell. क्या tendency है? बाहर से higher shell से electron अंदर आके lower shell का vacancy को भरेंगे. इस process के दौरान higher shell में vacancy create होगा. So there is a tendency for electrons to come from out to in and vacancies to go from inside to outside, right? So there's a tendency for the vacancies to go to higher orbits and electrons to move to lower orbits. During this process, this has a tendency, any system has a tendency to reduce its energy, right? Basics of your chemistry and work power energy. So any system has a tendency to reduce its energy. So during this process, energy of the atom decreases, stability increases. As energy decreases, where is that energy going? Naturally, that energy is going into a photon. So when that energy decreases, a photon is released with energy equal to the energy jump. Okay. 3 तक कोई doubt है क्या? Everyone with me to point 3? है doubt? तो पूछो. अभी, as the vacancies have a tendency to go to higher shells, an atom with a vacancy in a higher shell is less energetic, is more stable than one with a vacancy in the lower shell. Okay, so which is the least stable? When there is a hole in the K shell. Why? Because when there is a hole in the K shell, it's just begging for an electron from higher orbits to come and fill it. So that is the least stable. वो जल्दी से वो fill हो जाएगा. Higher orbits से electrons आके उसको fill करेंगे. So a hole being in the K shell is least stable and therefore most energetic. So EK is more energetic than EL. Again, remember, these are not energies of the levels. These are energies of the atoms with a hole in those levels. So energy with a hole in K is greater than energy with a hole in L, is greater than energy with a hole in M, is greater than energy with a hole in N. Right? Least energy will be when there is a hole in the valence electron, because metals can easily give out their valence electrons. Okay, more energetic means, yeah, come on, more energetic, basics of organic chemistry. More energetic means lower energy. More energetic means lower stability. When something is more energetic, its stability is lower. Driving force for anything happening in chemistry at the molecular atomic level is a drive for stability, which comes when energy decreases. Yeah, great. Cool. Okay, everyone with me. All right, so EK is greater than EL, greater than EM, greater than EN. And we're going to draw these, energy levels soon. Now the photons coming out by this method, are called characteristic X-rays. Why are they called characteristic X-rays? Because their frequency is going to depend on the target metal. So it's going to be characteristic of that metal. And this is something we'll see in Moseley's law, which is towards the end of this chapter. So the frequencies actually depend on the metal. So same transition. I mean, basically जो characteristic X-rays निकल से निकलेगा और जो मान लो आयरन से निकलेगा या कोई और मेटल से, सिल्वर, जो भी और दूसरे मेटल से निकलेगा, they will be of different frequencies. Okay, so that's one thing. That's why they are called characteristic X-rays. Moreover, they aren't a continuous spectrum. Okay, इसमें वो continuous zero से EV वाला energy नहीं है. These are going to have energies depending on the energy jump. Electron जब L से K आएगा या M से K आएगा, these are very specific jumps. So based on the energy jump taking place, accordingly photons emit hoga. So there isn't a continuous spectrum in this case, but there are discrete wavelengths. Any doubt till 0.5? We're very soon going to see the graph and everything will fall into place. Any doubt so far? 0.6 talks about how we give a name to these wavelengths. I'll read out 0.6 and then I'll show you the diagram. You'll understand more with the diagram. So how are these photons named? The photons are named with the name of the shell whose vacancy is filled. So agar a transition of an electron, if an electron comes from a higher shell to the K shell, it's going to be called a K X-ray. It's going to fill a gap in the M shell, is going to be called an M X-ray. So the photons are named with the name of the shell, the lower orbit, jiska vacancy is being filled. Okay, so the photons are named with the name of the shell whose vacancy is filled during the process, followed by either alpha, yes Shivank, yes, followed by either alpha, beta or gamma. And what will alpha, beta or gamma do? It will indicate the number of shells above the shell to which the vacancy shifts. Yeah, we English वगैरह side में रखते हैं. And let's understand this in a diagram. So diagram on the next page will be self-explanatory. Okay? So look at this diagram. ऊपर वाला. So यहाँ पे this is how the energy levels will look. So remember, a vacancy in the K shell, innermost shell, is highly unstable. Right? If you want to remove an electron from any atom, you guys know you can remove electrons from the valence shell of a metal. It's not easy to remove an electron from the innermost shell. All right. To do that, you're going to make the atom very unstable. So as you can see, EK ka graph is really high over here. Okay, EK ka graph is going to be really high. Significantly lower than EK is going to be EL ka energy. Significantly lower than EK is going to be EL ka energy. In a way, this is similar to hydrogen spectrum K ratios. In a way, you'll see that fall into place. EL is going to be approximately 1/4 of EK. But since there are multiple electrons, we can't exactly say, this energy level is whatever 13.6 z square by n. We can't exactly use those values. But yes, EK, a hole in the first orbit, is highly energetic, highly unstable. A hole in the second orbit is considerably less energetic and more stable. Where M orbit में hole is even less energetic, even more stable. N orbit में hole is even less energetic, even more stable. Ultimately, यहाँ पे हम reference level को क्या ले रहे हैं? Reference level को वो ले रहे हैं जहाँ पे there is a gap in the last infinitieth orbit. मतलब gap है ही नहीं. Gap है ही नहीं मतलब we are talking about the reference level being a normal atom of that molecule. उसको हमने zero ले लिया है. मतलब when there is no vacancy anywhere, उसका एनर्जी को हम जीरो बोलेंगे. जब वैलेंस शेल में वेकेंसी है, ओके, जब होल्ड ऑन सानिका, जस्ट होल्ड ऑन, आई विल कम टू दैट. जब वैलेंस शेल में वेकेंसी है, ओके, जब वैलेंस शेल में वेकेंसी है तब एनर्जी थोड़ा सा ज्यादा है, बट स्टिल यू कैन इजीली रिमूव इलेक्ट्रॉन्स फ्रॉम द वैलेंस शेल ऑफ अ मेटल. फिर penultimate shell में vacancy है तो again energy और भी ज्यादा है, so on and so forth. As go deeper and deeper, energy increases. Okay, ये nomenclature, don't get confused. EK means energy of the atom where there is a vacancy in the K shell. EM means energy of the atom where there is a vacancy in the M shell. This is the nomenclature for the energy levels. Now, how do we name the photons? Okay, so when the atom descends from, so I'll explain what K alpha is. So when the atom descends from EK to EL, इसका मतलब क्या हो रहा है? एटम जब EK से EL जा रहा है, मतलब वेकेंसी K शेल से L शेल जा रहा है ना? वेकेंसी K शेल से L शेल जा रहा है. वेकेंसी K से L जाने का मतलब इलेक्ट्रॉन L से K आ रहा है. Is that clear? Maybe I'll just use a quite clear. This is once for the benefit of everyone. So see, तो यहाँ पे वेकेंसी है, ठीक है, और उसके बाहर वाले शेल में whatever 8 electrons are there. Okay, फिलहाल this is EK. Okay, because there is a vacancy in the K shell. This is EK, vacancy in the K shell. As it goes from EK to EL, what is happening? The electron is going to go and fill that gap. The electron is go from the L shell is going to go and fill the K shell gap, and the vacancy is going to move from K to L. So the name of the level is on the basis of vacancy कहाँ पे है. ठीक है, तो जब एनर्जी EK से EL जाता है, ये समझ लो इलेक्ट्रॉन उल्टा डायरेक्शन में जाता है. एनर्जी EK से EL गिर रहा है, मतलब वेकेंसी K से L जा रहा है, वेकेंसी बाहर की तरफ जा रहा है, और इलेक्ट्रॉन्स अंदर की तरफ L से K जा रहा है. अच्छा, तो जब EK से EL जाता है, मतलब इलेक्ट्रॉन L to K जाता है, that is called as a K alpha transition. K alpha, K और उसके बाजू वाले शेल के बीच में exchange is called K alpha. Okay, the first K series वाला transition is called as K alpha. वहां से जो एक्स रेज निकलते हैं उसको बोलते हैं के अल्फा एक्स रेज. It's very easy to follow the logic now. The next one, okay, I may have to relaunch the app, sorry. So the next one जो K और M के बीच में होगा, okay, the next energy transition which is going to be between K and M. That looks scary for a bit. कहाँ गए मेरे books? जो अगला वाला है K और M के बीच में, slight lag. Let me. My Wi-Fi is on. Sorry. Sorry. The next one जो K और M के बीच the hole moves from K to M. Okay, the hole is moving from, the vacancy is moving from K to M, but the electron is coming from M to K. The third orbit से first orbit पे electron आ रहा है. उस transition को K beta बोलते हैं. ये थोड़ा Lyman series जैसा हो गया. K alpha is like the first Lyman transition. K beta is like the second Lyman transition. There's a following. K gamma is like the third Lyman transition. Third Lyman transition fourth shell और first shell के बीच में. वही हो रहा है. एनर्जी लेवल ई के से ई एन गिर रहा है, मतलब वेकेंसी के से एन जा रहा है, इलेक्ट्रॉन एन से के आ रहा है, फोर्थ शेल से फर्स्ट शेल आ रहा है. सो यू गाइस अंडरस्टूड हाउ के अल्फा, के बीटा, के गामा नेम. सिमिलरली एल अल्फा. सो एल अल्फा इज एल एंड हायर ऑर्बिट्स के बीच में ट्रांसिशंस. ओके, तो एल एंड एम के बीच में ट्रांसिशन इज एल अल्फा. क्या होता है एल अल्फा में? एनर्जी EL से EM घटता है, गिरता है एटम का, मतलब वेकेंसी L से M चला जाता है, सेकेंड ऑर्बिट से थर्ड ऑर्बिट. इलेक्ट्रॉन थर्ड से सेकेंड में आता है, M से L आता है. फॉलोइंग. सिमिलरली सेकेंड और फोर्थ के बीच में जो ट्रांसिशन होगा दैट्स कॉल्ड एज L बीटा. वैसे थर्ड एंड फोर्थ के बीच में जो ट्रांसिशन होगा दैट्स कॉल्ड एज M अल्फा. ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन गो ऑन, बट आई होप यू गेट द पॉइंट. समझ में आया? के अल्फा, के बीटा, के गामा. सो द नेमिंग इज बेस्ड ऑन वेकेंसी कहां पे भर जाएगा. सो इन ऑल ऑफ दिस, ओके, इन ऑल ऑफ दिस वेकेंसी इलेक्ट्रॉन हायर शेल से के में आके बैठ रहा है. हायर शेल से के में आके बैठ रहा है, तो के का वेकेंसी भरा इज बीइंग फिल्ड, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दीस आर कॉल्ड एज द के सीरीज एक्स-रेज. ओके, एंड फ्रॉम first onwards they called as K alpha, K beta, K gamma. When transitions are between, when the vacancy of the L shell is filled by the electron just above it, that's called as L alpha. When it's filled by the electron two shells above, it's called as L beta. When the M shell का vacancy is filled by the electron just above, it's called as L alpha. यहाँ तक समझ में आ गया? K alpha, K beta, K gamma, and so on. Any doubts in the nomenclature? None? Okay, you want to see how this looks like in the graph? So when that experiment is performed, when you bombard electrons in an X-ray tube and you observe the intensity of the photons coming out of the X-ray tube, when you observe that intensity, you're going to see a graph like this. Intensity as a function of wavelength is going to look like this. Okay, the wavelength is considerably higher. Notice the units are picometers. Okay, so the wavelength is considerably higher. We are not working in the UV range, visible range. That would be some 100 nanometers. We are now working in the picometer, 10 around that 10 power minus 11 minus 12 range. So these are definitely of higher frequency and higher energy. Okay, now intensity, in a way, if a particular photon has greater intensity, if a particular wavelength has greater intensity, matlab more photons of that wavelength are present. So intensity in a way talks about the probability of a particular wavelength being produced. अगर वो वेवलेंथ बनने का प्रोबेबिलिटी ज्यादा है तो उसके ज्यादा फोटॉन्स बनेंगे, ज्यादा फोटॉन्स बनेंगे तो वो पर्टिकुलर वेवलेंथ का लाइट काफी ब्राइट दिखेगा, काफी इंटेंस दिखेगा. Greater intensity means more photons, right? So this is now how the graph looks. So there is a portion beyond which graph होगा ही नहीं. Okay, so the lowest wavelength जिससे कम तुम्हें फोटॉन दिखेगा ही नहीं, that lowest wavelength is called cutoff wavelength. And we know that cutoff wavelength, that minimum wavelength, is coming from the most energetic transition. Most energetic transition is going to be having a wavelength of hc by ev, as we have already seen. So now in this graph there is a general smooth kind of curve based on the probability distribution. That smooth curve is made up of your continuous x-rays. So x-rays ka wavelength has a minimum value, okay? And as theoretically the lowest energy can be 0, वैसा theoretically the highest wavelength can be infinitely large, but the probability almost tends to 0 as you reach higher and higher wavelengths. So this graph becomes very, very, very close to the x-axis. But there is this kind of a smooth graph that was expected based on which collisions are more probable. So this portion of the graph is called as your continuous x-rays. Okay. Now, what was interestingly seen is above this, there were these spikes on the graph, okay, like that, like the plates on the back of that Stegosaurus dinosaur. Where there were spikes on this graph, in this graph at discrete frequencies. तो जिस frequencies पे ये spikes दिखता था, those frequencies were called as characteristic wavelengths. क्या हो रहा था उस frequencies पे? उस frequencies पे तो normal probability distribution के कारण anyways photon emit हो रहा है, continuous x-rays के कारण anyways photon emit हो ही रहा है, but on top of that, because of this extra phenomena taking place, what is the phenomena? Electrons are going to be knocked out from inner shells of these atoms. As they are knocked out, electrons from higher shells will move in to fill those gaps. In that process, energy is released in the form of photons. Those photons are being produced by extra reasons above and beyond why continuous x-rays are produced, right? So they are produced by extra reasons. ये अब atom के अंदर transition के कारण हो रहा है. बाकी rays तो electron, bombarding electron की energy के कारण हो रहा है. But ये extra जो emit हो रहा है, those extra spikes, they are because of transitions within the atom of a target. As the atom goes to a more stable configuration, these photons are emitted. So these are extra, above and beyond those that are coming from the bombarding electron. So this is how they look like in the graph. Okay. Acha, how are they placed in the graph? You know, sometimes they may just give you the diagram and they may point and ask you is, you know, like you can see 3 spikes here, 2 spikes here, 1 spike here. They can ask you, ye wala K alpha hoga ya wo wala K alpha hoga. So for that, you need to just understand कि wavelength is inversely proportional to the energy gap. सबसे ज्यादा एनर्जी मतलब सबसे कम वेवलेंथ. ओके, अब सबसे ज्यादा एनर्जी हाइड्रोजन एटम में लाइमन सीरीज का था, है ना? यहाँ पे भी वैसे ही है, सबसे ज्यादा एनर्जी इनके लिए है, ये अपना लाइमन सीरीज के लिए की तरह है. तो K series has the largest transitions. It has the largest transition, so it will also have the smallest wavelengths. Everyone with me? Largest transitions, smallest wavelengths. Okay. इसमें भी the biggest transition will be the outer ones. Okay. The biggest transitions will be K with higher orbits, and the smallest transition will be K with L. So K alpha, out of the K series, के अल्फा सबसे छोटा एनर्जी वाला ट्रांसिशन है, हेंस के अल्फा सबसे बड़ा वेवलेंथ वाला ट्रांसिशन है। तो के सीरीज हैज हाईएस्ट एनर्जी, तो इन द ग्राफ के सीरीज विल अकर, it can go beyond k gamma also, ऐसा नहीं कि it won't go beyond that, it's just probability wise k alpha सबसे probable है, फिर आगे वाले less and less probable होते जाते हैं, but yeah, it can theoretically it can go beyond that, but we normally focus on k alpha, k beta, l alpha. But हाँ, so what is the idea? k series सबसे ज्यादा energetic है, तो k series का wavelength सबसे कम है, so you need to know the leftmost series that you see, the leftmost series that you see. Okay, hold on, just that cutoff wala down, just hold on to that. So leftmost series that you see is the K series. Next, K series से कम energy वाला है तुम्हारा L series. कम energy मतलब ज्यादा wavelength, तो greater wavelength. In the middle of the graph, you see your L series. L series will lie to the right of your K series. ठीक है? Simple है, just observe the energy differences. M series, M में भी और हो सकता है, M alpha beta. प्रोबेबिलिटी कम होते जाता है, मैं बस एम अल्फा ड्रॉ कर रहा हूँ, तो एम सीरीज का एनर्जी और भी कम है, एनर्जी और भी कम मतलब वेवलेंथ और भी ज्यादा, तो एम अल्फा, सो द एम सीरीज इज टुवर्ड्स द इज द राइट मोस्ट, तो के सीरीज लेफ्ट मोस्ट, उसके बाद एल सीरीज, उसके बाद एम सीरीज। तो पहले तो वेयर दे आर प्लेस्ड, समटाइम्स जस्ट ट्रस्ट मी, जस्ट ग्राफ्स आर गिवन एंड दे आस्क यू इज दिस के, इज दिस के, इज दिस के, highest energy, lowest wavelength, so the leftmost one is your K series. उसके बाद क्या होता है, sometimes they will ask you the labeling within a series. अब ये K series में zoom in करते हैं और इसमें वो पूछ सकता है कि यार ये जो पहला कांटा है, rightmost कांटा, is that K alpha, or the leftmost कांटा is, leftmost spike is K alpha, which one is K alpha? So now you need to think, in the K series, K alpha is the first line, it has the smallest transition in the K series. It's still bigger than anything in the L series. As we have discussed in Bohr's atomic model, it's still bigger than anything in the L series, but K series में उसका energy सबसे छोटा है, उसका energy सबसे छोटा है तो उसका wavelength सबसे बड़ा है. So rightmost will be K alpha, rightmost will be K alpha. उससे ज्यादा एनर्जी और कम वेवलेंथ पे के बीटा, उससे और भी ज्यादा एनर्जी और कम वेवलेंथ पे के गामा. ओके, वेवलेंथ ये राइट से लेफ्ट, दिस एक्स एक्सिस इज योर वेवलेंथ. ओके, सो डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज विद द हाइट ऑफ द स्पाइक्स. हाइट ऑफ द स्पाइक्स इज इंटेंसिटी, दैट्स जस्ट अ प्रोबेबिलिटी मैटर. प्रोबेबिलिटी से एक्सपेरिमेंटली दिख रहा है कि के अल्फा इज द मोस्ट प्रोबेबल वन, इसलिए मतलब उसमें सबसे बड़ा जंप दिख रहा है ना. तो this happens कि K alpha transitions are the most common. For some reason, K alpha transitions are the most common. We're not going to we're not going to get into the probability wala part. But that's why K alpha is most probable. That's why उसका intensity सबसे ज़्यादा दिख रहा है. But the fact is, K alpha का energy K beta से कम है, इसलिए K alpha का wavelength K beta से ज़्यादा है. So therefore, wavelength wise, it lies to the right of the graph. Following, similarly in the L series, L alpha rightmost होगा, उसके लेफ्ट में L beta होगा, क्योंकि L alpha का वेवलेंथ सबसे ज्यादा है और एनर्जी सबसे कम है L series के अंदर. Do you guys completely understand the placement of these 6 transitions in these graphs? Okay, exam में if spikes like this are drawn and they ask you to label the spikes, will you be able to do it? Okay, just think carefully. Energy is inversely proportional to wavelength. Draw this carefully. Okay, the spacing is just like Bohr's atomic model में E के बहुत बड़ा है, EL 1/4, EM और भी छोटा, EN और भी छोटा. Okay, the gaps keep getting thinner and thinner as you go down. Most energetic one, ये नहीं कि मैं ओवरऑल नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, इन 6 में से, मैं के डेल्टा वगैरह की बात नहीं कर रहा. इन 6 में से मोस्ट एनर्जेटिक वन फिलहाल इज के गामा. इन दिस ग्राफ, मोस्ट एनर्जेटिक वन विल हैव द स्मॉलेस्ट लैम्डा, दैट विल बी टुवर्ड्स द लेफ्ट. Sir, how do we know K gamma is the most energetic from the graph? Come on, I mean, energy, these are energy levels, no? तो इन lines में सबसे बड़ा gap तो यार इसी का है ना? That is the biggest transition. Don't you see that these lines are bigger than these lines to begin with? The K lines are bigger than the L lines to begin with. So all the K lines are more energetic than all the L lines. It's like what we mentioned yesterday. All the yesterday, Monday. So what we mentioned last time, all the Lyman series lines are more energetic than all the Balmer series lines. वैसे ही है, almost the same idea. So all the K series lines are more energetic, and K series में भी जो बड़ा transitions है, they are even more energetic. This first line is the least energetic in the K series. K alpha is the least. K beta is more. K gamma is even more. तो इन तीन में से K gamma सबसे energetic. समझ में आया? हाँ तो बता दो. Okay. And अब एक doubt है. Sir, at cutoff wavelength, energy is max. Then intensity should also be max at cutoff, right? नहीं. So ये please understand this. Okay. When we talk about intensity in this respect, we're talking about the intensity of the photons. At cutoff wavelength, energy max है. Energy max है. मतलब जो photon निकलेगा, सबसे ज्यादा एनर्जी का फोटोन निकलेगा. बट उस कितने फोटॉन्स निकलेंगे? कितने फोटॉन्स निकलेंगे? That's the point. Like, for instance, you go to a shopping mall, and the shopping mall sells a lot of things. Yeah, there are shops which sell your daily groceries, and then there are shops which sell super expensive diamond rings. Okay? So maybe the most expensive sale in the mall is the sale of a super expensive diamond ring or a Rolex watch. But वो कितना sell हो रहा है? बहुत कम sell हो रहा है. तो कितना sell हो रहा है is like the intensity, and the price is like the energy. I hope you are understanding that. वैसा कुछ सीन है यहाँ पे. The most energetic photon occurs at the cutoff wavelength, but इससे beyond कुछ भी photon emit नहीं हो रहा है. So you can imagine a smooth transition, right? In nature, all these phenomena have to be smooth. Just उससे कम wavelength emit ही नहीं हो रहा है, तो exactly उस wavelength पे एक दो photon emit होना चाहिए. सर जादू से 1000 नहीं emit होंगे ना. So exactly at that wavelength जिसके बाद emission दिखेगा, मतलब emission दिखेगा ही नहीं, तो उसपे at that transition value you may see 2-3 photons being emitted. So very low intensity, almost zero intensity at that point. And as you start moving away from that, intensity increases. So intensity probability वाला खेल है. ठीक है, वो wavelength से कितने photons निकल रहे हैं, मतलब वो wavelength को produce करने के लिए जो collision हो रहा है, जो factors है, वो factors कितने probable है. All right. Sir, all the K series lines are more probable. Yes. These lines look like this. All the K series lines are nahi. All the K series lines are more probable than L series nahi. Actually, जैसा K gamma, K delta and all are not more probable than L alpha. Okay, ये probability ना तुम पूरा intensity मत देखो. ये भी एक चीज समझो कि यार ये K अल्फा का जो इंटेंसिटी, ये पर्टिकुलर वेवलेंथ जो प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है, K अल्फा वेवलेंथ जो प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है, वो दो कारण से हो रहा है. वो एक तो कंटिन्यूस एक्सरेज बॉम्बार्डिंग इलेक्ट्रॉन के कारण एमिट हो रहा है, और फिर ये स्पाइक जितना ओवरशूट करता है beyond the natural shape of the graph, that amount it juts out, that is occurring because of some extra effect which explains characteristic X-rays. Okay, so the length of the spike tells you how probable that characteristic X-ray is, not the absolute height. Okay, K series anyways have an extra height because the frequency at which they occur are resulting in more probable continuous X-rays. L K in general continuous X-rays are less probable. M K less probable. So this graph is anyway sloping down. But the length of the spike, tum dekho, the length of the spike mein K alpha seems to be the biggest. Okay. And we are not going to compare the lengths of the spikes, but just for your information, next prominent ones will either be K beta or L alpha. K alpha ke baad, the ones which really stand out will be K beta and L alpha. Normally, some people, when they draw graphs, no, they just draw 2-3 spikes. So they'll maybe just draw K alpha, K beta, L alpha. So which in a way is a hint that the other ones are less and less probable. They don't stand out that much. Okay. All right. Cool. I think ये main actually थोड़ा conceptual वाला part था. Okay, I have a really nice question over here. I'll just maybe explain the question to you guys. काफी सोचना पड़ेगा. Today is Monday, right? I'm lost. Today is Monday, so we're meeting tomorrow. कल एक question discuss करते हैं. This question is saying, let's say that for xenon, the energy of a photon of the following X-rays are, okay, K beta का energy दे रहा हूँ. Please take your time and attempt this at home. K beta का energy, L alpha का energy, मतलब उनके कारण जो photons निकलते हैं उनके energies, and L beta X-rays के energies मैं दे रहा हूँ. Then I'm talking about something else. I'm saying ionization energy is 5K electron volt. Okay. Think what xenon is. थोड़ा ये सोचने वाला सवाल है. Xenon क्या है वो सोचो. Think how many shells it has. That's my clue to you. Think on the definition of ionization energy. Okay. Work all of that out and answer all these questions. So find the energy. You can do this at home. थोड़ा time लगेगा. Find the energy of a photon of these X-rays. So using these values, using this also, you should be able to find K alpha, K gamma, M alpha के values, energies in X-rays के energies. उसके बाद find the energy in electron volts of the energy level En. ठीक है? फिर find the energy required to knock out an electron from the M shell, L shell, K shell. Okay, my hint is just refer to this graph, this ऊपर जो मैंने page 5 में ऊपर जो lines draw किया है ना, refer to those lines and try to fill in the energy values of whatever you know. K alpha का पता है तो वो draw, EM पता है तो वो draw कर. Fill in those lines. It's a nice conceptual question. Okay, it's not difficult. Solution won't be long at all. And finally, what should be the minimum energy of the bombarding electrons required to produce L alpha X-rays? कितना minimum energy होना चाहिए L alpha X-ray produce करने के लिए? तो produce होने के लिए पहले तो L shell से electron निकलना चाहिए, right? So you need enough energy to knock out an electron from the L shell. That's the idea. So what should be the minimum energy of bombarding electrons required to produce L alpha X-rays? Find the corresponding accelerating voltage and the cutoff wavelength. Which of the following will also be produced in this case? K alpha, K beta, K gamma, L beta, M alpha. These are things for you to think. Please, this is a good question. Take your time at home and solve this. I think I miscalculated kitna time lagega X-rays na. I think the initial idea of this chapter is quite conceptual. Understanding what characteristic and continuous X-rays are, maybe that takes a little bit of time, but definitely, I mean, yeah, we'll finish all of this. tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll have more. We'll discuss that question. We have Mosley's law, which is a very super simple um, concept with super easy questions. In general, X-ray के questions easy होते हैं. Okay, questions will be of the type. यहाँ पे तुम देख सकते हो कैसे के बीटा का एनर्जी इज के अल्फा प्लस एल अल्फा, राइट? जस्ट वन हिंट, लाइक इसका एनर्जी इज के अल्फा प्लस एल अल्फा. तो ऐसे टाइप के क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, सुपर सिंपल. बट यहाँ पे मैंने थोड़ा लाइक एवरीथिंग पॉसिबल क्या पूछा जा सकता है वास्ट, वर्क थ्रू दिस. अगेन पिक्चर हाउ मेनी शेल्स xenon has, think what ionization energy means. ई के ई एल ई एम ई एन इसके बारे में कुछ भी इंफॉर्मेशन मिल रहा है, जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन इन चार स्टेटमेंट से मिल रहा है, प्लीज पुट इट इन दैट लाइन वाला डायग्राम and answer the remaining. If you guys can do that, it'll be amazing. Let's meet tomorrow and discuss. Anyone has any doubts? Anything you didn't understand? Yeah, these will be uploaded naturally in new folder, which I think is already made, called as X-rays. Welcome. Welcome. Good night. Bye. Good night.